go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we're live now? Great. Okay, I'll call tonight's regular meeting of council to order. Recommendation that the regular meeting of council be suspended and the committee of the whole meeting be convened. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Randhawa. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. I'll call tonight's committee of the whole meeting to order. Recommendation that the agenda for the committee of the whole meeting of October 25th, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Adie, second by Councillor Niche. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, we have a presentation tonight from Jessica Friesen, Community Paramedicine, Prince Rupert Station number 684. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You can take it away.
Awesome. I believe I have a PowerPoint as well.
Yes, I will share my screen for you, and then just let me know if you'd like to advance the slides.
Sure, that sounds good. Thank you. So again, hi, my name is Jessica Friesen, and I'm just going to introduce Matt, my coworker, who's with RCMP as well. We are representing all of Prince Rupert emergency personnel, including BC Ambulance, RCMP, the Prince Rupert Fire Department, and the Ministry of Children and Family Development, the MCFD, demonstrated by our support letters. Your Worship, as stated in my letter of request, we would like to request for a bylaw to be put in place in the city of Prince Rupert and for the city to implement a plan in order for the citizens to be able to follow this bylaw with as little financial impact as possible where feasible, and for the money to be directed back into the community. Included in this bylaw, if you want to flip slides, please. Included in this bylaw, we are requesting that house numbers have a minimum size requirements of 4 inches in height, 0.5 inches in width, and that they are visible from the road with no obstructions, no contrast, and contrast to the house color, or have adequate lighting for 24-hour service. Paramedics and RCMP especially have a high turnaround rate in the city, making learning the city and finding houses very difficult. Many have voiced their concerns, which I have heard, and I am now bringing it upon myself to bring to the city's attention, asking that this be another step the city takes in moving forward for the safety of emergency personnel and the city that we strive to serve. If you want to flip through the next couple of slides, please. In the next 3 slides, I have maps of the east side of Prince Rupert demonstrating a little bit about some of our difficulties. Some of the colors are a little bit hard to see, but as you can see, 5th and 9th are divided into 2 sections. 7th and 8th are both divided into 3, with one of the streets on 7th being a one-way. And 10th Avenue is not divided into 2, 3, or 4, but into 5 different segments. So being new to town, this can make finding addresses on certain streets very difficult. You can flip through the next couple slides. The next one as well. These are just kind of zoom-ins of the map. And onto the next slide, please. So this is an example here of an apartment building in town. The address for this apartment building is actually on Borden, and the access for this apartment building is on Summit Avenue. So being new to town, you might not know that. And then the first picture in this slide is a picture of the apartment building coming down the driveway. There's no visible address. And the second picture on the slide is a picture of the apartment building as you're rounding the right-hand corner there. Again, no visible address on the building. The address is actually visible once you exit your vehicle and walk towards the entrance. Again, which isn't visible from the inside of a vehicle, so it can be hard to tell. Next slide, please. This picture is a picture from in town, which kind of demonstrates a little bit of our difficulty. This is a picture seen from the road inside a vehicle, where houses, this is common in Rupert, where houses are built below the street level and houses aren't actually seen from the street. So obviously the addresses on the house aren't seen either. Even though the addresses might be on the house, we're not able to see them, and addresses aren't posted on the fence either. And quite often, as seen, vehicles are parked in front of the houses as well. In this picture, there are actually 3 to 4 houses. So it's quite easy to drive by all these houses and not see an address at all. Next slide, please. And here's just kind of an address comparison. So on the left-hand side is something that we want to see, something that we're striving for on every single house. That makes finding addresses very easy. And on the right-hand side is a common house with no address, as you can see, anywhere visible from the house. Now in a situation, we put these houses down 100, 200 meter driveway, which again is common in Rupert. So if you don't know the address of the house, it can be hard to find. So you can go to the next slide, please. This project, so these are just kind of examples of what we see. So this project would help both first responders and the members of the community. It helps first responders and the MCFD, as we are all expected to respond at all hours of the day with quick response times. And knowing as a first responder we're at the right house and being able to find the right house is huge. Without numbers on multiple houses in a row, we'll often drive past and have to do a U-turn, and that's including the fire department, us, and our CMP. So there could be multiple vehicles trying to do U-turns, finding the correct house, or we'll enter somebody's house uninvited, which is equally as dangerous. And from personal experience, it's not uncommon to turn around or request a callback from our dispatcher clarifying an address at least once a day, if not more. And I'm only one of 15 paramedics, 20 firefighters, and over 40 RCMP in town. So this could happen on a daily basis. And this can increase response time from anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes if we're turning around trying to find the right section of 7th or the right section of 10th. I believe that members of the community all around town, from the east side or west side, rich or poor, no matter what their status, need to believe that when they call 911, we will make our best response time when it matters most to them. So we're asking to make it safer for the emergency services workers and citizens. We're asking that you take this motion into consideration. And I'm going to pass it on to Matt, who's going to give some stats a little bit.
So as a way to determine the scale of the issue, we did a random canvassing of several areas. Well, the analysis that we conducted was subjective. It was based on experience in locating addresses through working as a paramedic and as a police officer. Some of the issues that were identified as problematic included no numbers on the building, small or non-contrasting numbers, and numbers placed in areas with an obstructed view, whether that be by obstacles or placed too low. So I looked at the areas both during the day and again at night, and I found that 85% of the areas canvassed had deficiency rates above 20%, which means that 1 in 5 houses would not be able to be quickly identified in an emergency. If we look at those numbers at night, the rates are even more alarming. Rather than identifying deficiencies, I simply looked at houses that were able to be identified. And the average based on that was about 11% of houses were readily identifiable at night. So obviously that poses a serious issue for emergency crews and does needlessly put lives in danger. So if this bylaw were to be passed, we had a couple of ideas of implementation. So we're looking for positive outcomes from all the stakeholders involved. We'd like to propose that the city and a community group partner together to create signage that meets and ultimately exceeds the standards set by the bylaw. So I've spoken with the Rotary Club of Prince Rupert, and they're going to be bringing the idea of creating signage as a fundraising opportunity to their next executive meeting in November. So our hope is by the city advertising through their website and through emergency services like the fire department, that they can incentivize people to purchase signs in a manner that benefits the community as a whole rather than a private business. It is also our hope for the city to implement a way in which households that demonstrate a need for assistance can have the city provide house numbers at no cost, which would again be done by purchasing directly from the partner community group. So the city money that is being spent, it's being spent in a way that's responsible, and it actually brings money back into the community as well. So that would be our hope for the implementation of it.
So that does conclude our presentation, but I want to again just thank you for letting us present, and hope you take this motion into consideration just for safety of us and Prince Rupert in general.
Great, thank you for your time. I think at this point, yeah, I see no issues of you guys working with our staff to develop a bylaw. I don't think there's a motion on the floor here on our meeting today, but a bylaw will have to be created, and I think you guys are free to work with our staff to make sure that bylaw gets created in the way that you think needs to be made, and then that will be presented at a future council meeting. This all makes sense. It's pretty straightforward what needs to happen here. There's really no rocket science to it. So yeah, I think we can move forward with that. Are there any questions with council today? Councillor Adie?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for the presentation. It's it's really useful for us to be able to see the world through the lens as other people experience it. And quite frankly, I'd never really thought about it, although I can share that sometimes the pizza guy has a hard time finding our place. But I think this is obviously much more important than that. And I would have no problems supporting a way of making something like this work better for you guys, because I agree with you that means it's also going to be working better for the people of Prince Rupert. So thanks very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Councillor Scott Morgan?
Yeah, I'll just jump in and just say thank you both for that presentation. I guess speaking from experience, I was in the APTP program with the RCMP, so I could totally relate. Even as a local, it is hard to find addresses with critical response time in mind. So having kind of that firsthand experience, the stakes are definitely higher than pizza delivery, for sure. So I think that, well, debatable to some, I'm sure, but I definitely think that, yeah, this is something that I think that I think it's kind of in agreement. And I won't speak for the rest of my colleagues, but it seems very, very straightforward to me. And just to thank you both for your time and your presentation. And are you on shift right now?
I just wrapped up. I didn't have time to change before.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, you could have donned the surge, went big, take it to like a 15, go right to a surge, and yeah, there we go. Yeah, next time. Got it. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank
Any
you.
further comments from council? Okay, so I'll have a corporate administrator reach out to you and get a process moving forward and get a bylaw developed and get moving forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much, City and Council. Very much appreciated.
Thanks for your time today. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, have a great night.
You as well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, any other info from the members of public? Ms. Miller?
No, we have had no additional information received today.
Okay, with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn and reconvene our regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Niche. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, recommendation that the agenda for the regular council meeting of October 25th, 2021 be adopted as presented with the addition of item 4C and D. Moved by Councillor Scott Morvan, seconded by Councillor Ranahawa. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, item 4A, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting of September 29th, 2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Niche. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Item 4B, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting of October 4th, 2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Ranahawa, second by Councillor Adey. Item 4C, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting of October 8th, 2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Scott Morvan, second by Councillor Niche. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Item 4D, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting of October 13th, 2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Scott Morvan, second by Councillor Niche. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. And item 4E, recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting of October 4th, 2021 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Scott Morvan, second by Councillor Niche. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, first up, we have a report from planning regarding DVP 2113 for 1002 First Avenue West. Mr. Buchan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Development variance permit number 2113 requests a variance to the city's zoning bylaw for a rear property line setback variance from the required 3 meters to 0.914 meters, approximately 3 feet. And a side yard setback variance from 1.2 meters to 0.76 meters, approximately 2.5 feet. This request is being made in order to facilitate the reconstruction of the top floor of an existing building from a sloped roof to a flat roof system. The footprint of the building is actually not changing here at all. What's happening is that there's additional habitable space being created or proposed to be created on the top floor, and that space is going to be within the required setback area. So what this actually, why this is required is because there's a volumetric impact on the setback. So there's no change to the building setbacks for the footprint. This is just to enable the setback encroachment on an upper level. The recommendation is to proceed with statutory notices.
Are you moving that, Councillor Niche? So moved by Councillor Niche that council proceeds with the statutory notification process for development variance permit application 2113, seconded by Councillor Randhawa. Any further discussion? Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Next, we have a report from our corporate administrator regarding a request from the Métis Nation. We did this last year, so the recommendation that council proclaim November 14th to 20th, 2021 as Métis Awareness Week. Moved by Councillor Randhawa, seconded by Councillor Eadie. Any discussion? Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Next, we have a report from our Chief Financial Officer regarding the August variance report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The operating and utility revenues and expenses continue to perform as expected compared to budget. As communicated during the budget season, the Safe Restart grant funds are eligible to address shortfalls related to the pandemic, most notably in the airport ferry, given the revenues in that department are significantly below what we had previously budgeted, more specifically because of the late restart of the Air Canada flights. Capital projects are well underway by the end of August and continue to be within budget with no significant variances to report. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have a report from planning regarding the DVP 2112 for 1353 Overlook. Councillor Niche.
So I just need to step aside on this one.
Okay, I think Ms. Miller will put you in the waiting room. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Buchan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The statutory notices were sent out for the variance request for application 2112. And this setback variance is a request to increase the setback or decrease the setback to 0.61 meters for stair assembly and 1.52 meters for a deck into the rear yard. Now, I can tell you that in this zone, the required setback is 3 meters. So it's approximately a 5-foot variance request for the deck and a little more for the stairs. One letter has come in, actually 2 letters have come in from the same person. The first letter indicates in opposition because of perceived impacts, and they've misinterpreted the plans as being an enclosed deck. There is no enclosure on the deck. There is a point that we're concerned that the deck might cause some light to interfere with the person's garden. I would note, however, though, that the property that the variance is requested on is on the north side of the person's property. So I wouldn't think that there'd be any direct sunlight impacted from this deck. The deck is also approximately 5 feet off of grade, 5 feet high. But there were issues pointed out, in terms of concerns about people looking into the people's house and their bedroom. A deck can go onto this property, but the variance request would allow to go an additional 5 feet into the required setback. A second letter was sent in after the applicant had a discussion with the adjacent property owner, and the property owner basically said that they wanted the application to stay within the bylaw, and that perhaps the deck should be lower. At 2 feet, it wouldn't require variance. So that's that input from the neighbors there for your consideration as you consider whether or not to approve this variance.
So just to jog my memory, we've already sent this to public notification. That's the public notification, and now we're at approval.
You're at approval now.
Okay, any comments from council?
I went over and walked the backyard today. There's going to be no. The implication if it's going to block sun is ridiculous because the sun comes from the other side. The deck is not going to be that high. It's not going to. I can't see how it can impede anything in any way. It's I don't know why the complaints, but I have no problem supporting this. After I went there and actually looked at it physically, it's the sunlight comes from the city side of the property. If anything, the trees on that side block the sunlight. This deck is not going to block the sunlight at all. It's not enclosed, as Mr. Buchan indicated. So it's not in any way going to block anything, and not even their view. So I'm in favor of this passing.
Are you making a motion, Councillor Cunningham, to approve the DVP?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Randhawa. Other comments from council? Councillor Morrow.
Just a clarifying question, Mr. Buchan. I missed the last bit of what you had said that the applicant had a subsequent conversation with the person who had written the letter in opposition. That was after the letters were written. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, that's right. We forwarded the concern to the applicant, so they were able to try to address the comments if they wanted to. And the applicant went out and spoke with the letter writer, and consequently, a second letter came in without all the detail of the first one or specific objections, just a request that the bylaw or that the deck be built in accordance with our zoning requirements, and that no variance be given.
Understood. Thank you.
Other comments from council? Okay, seeing no comments, anybody opposed? Motion's carried. We'll bring Councillor Niche back into the room. Okay, so moving on to some reports and inquiries from members of council. I have a couple items. So first, I'd just like to officially on camera congratulate Mr. Buchan on becoming our new CAO. So this is his last meeting as our contract planner, and the next meeting that we have, he'll be our CAO. So congratulations on that. We're looking forward to having you in the driver's seat with us, and lots to do for this community. And I'm sure you'll have a lot to say once you're officially in the seat. So once again, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just also a quick update. I did a few interviews last week about the water system, and one of the commitments that I made publicly was to begin a monthly update on the water supply progress until the project is fully completed. And so when Mr. Bucket gets into his new role, we'd like to see him start potentially in the November or the first update. And at a monthly council meeting, we just, even if there is no progress to report on or only slight progress, I'd like to make sure that council is being able to fully address the water system project. Everything's fully funded. The project's moving forward. Phase 2 will be coming to completion. There's some heavy rainfall issues, so there may be delays up to potentially April of 2022. Most likely will be before then. We'll have operations prepare a report for council in November around the progress on that. But everything's looking good to have this project be completed in a timely manner, and seeing us reconnect to the main primary water source. So that being said, we're also going to set up a web page on the website of the city website that'll be specifically for the water system, and there'll be current status information on that site as well, so that people, no matter which way you go, you'll always be able to get the information you're looking for, just so that we can make sure that folks are being fully communicated to on where the situation with the water supply is at. We've done various videos and things over the last 6 years, but at this point, the project is just in motion now and needs to come to full construction. And there's not much else that can be done other than making sure we're communicating properly with the community on the status of the project. So that is something that we're committing to. And a final thing to say is tonight there was supposed to be a delegation from Northern Health officials to talk to City Council, but they requested some more time to get some more information for their presentation. So they'll be coming at the next council meeting, November 8th, to City Council to have a conversation with council then. So that's when that will be. Any other comments or reports from council? Councillor Adey.
Thank you. Last Saturday, I was lucky enough to attend a film presentation put on by the Community Arts Council. I just wanted to commend them on what an outstanding job they did. Essentially, what it was a series of vignettes about what various artists in various disciplines, from visual arts to school groups to authors and writers, what they've been doing to adjust what they do in the time of COVID. So it was called Art in the Time of COVID. And I just like to say, first of all, that it was a tremendously professionally put together film. Councillor Cunningham was there with me as well. And also, just on a personal note, it was a privilege to see so many former students doing some of the things that they were taught to do in school, only extending it into their adult lives. It was very touching to me personally on that level. So a big shout out to the Community Arts Council for that, and I really appreciated the chance to see that presentation.
Other reports from council. Councillor Cunningham.
I'll just add to that. It was a pleasure to see how many talented people are really in Prince Rupert, that I think people should get out more often and support the arts. Not just, you talk of the arts and you just think of painters and things like this, but Ocean Rutherford with her book, Trina Decker and the people at the theater and things like that. It was just a wonderful presentation. It sort of opened my eyes to the things that are going on in this town that, you just don't know about sometimes. It was a great presentation. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I went.
Councillor Renha.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week I saw the crosswalks marking been done, and so people are still wondering if we still have planned to do the lane markings, if weather permits. Have any idea?
Have to defer to staff for anything around the painting, and Mr. Pucci's not on the line, but any other stuff?
I will speak to the Director of Operations and get an update on that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other reports from council? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Renha. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. We'll see you at November 8th. Thanks very much, everyone.